At 7:42 p.m. on the hottest night of the summer, the express elevator of Titan Tower groaned shut behind 6 strangers who shared only the impatience of wanting to be somewhere else. The car, paneled in brushed steel and lined with mirrored accents that distorted reflections into ghostly doppelgangers, began its smooth slide from the 52nd floor toward the lobby. Moments later, all of Manhattan went dark. The first sign was the shiver of every fluorescent strip overhead. Light dimmed, flared, and then vanished, plunging the cramped car into velvet black. A collective gasp swelled. Cell phone screens flowered on instinct like fireflies. Far below, the building's diesel generator tried to roar to life, then sputtered out with a hollow cough. Silence rushed in, thick as oil. Someone cursed. Another laughed, too loudly, cracking in the middle like a bad joke. Seconds stretched into minutes as the group struggled to find steady footing in the absence of motion or sound beyond their own breaths. Then Titan Tower's archaic backup system managed a feeble concession. The emergency strip lighting along the baseboards flickered on, painting everyone's shoes and ankles in a sickly blue glow. Only now could they study one another. Marisol Jimenez, an ER nurse on her way home, hospital ID lanyard staining her scrubs neon pink in the emergency glow. Elliot Dane, an investment analyst clutching an ominously thin titanium briefcase. Noah Pennington, a tech-savvy college senior, hoodie pockets rattling with earbuds and an antique pocket knife his grandfather had given him. Camille's son, a documentary filmmaker whose camera, too large for subtlety, hung around her neck like an anchor. Detective Jonas Keller, plainclothes NYPD, sculpted jaw set hard, carrying a hint of bourbon and sleepless nights. And finally, Victor Orson, Titan Tower's own celebrity venture capital prodigy. Loke brogues shine to obsidian perfection. He leaned against the rear panel, wrists crossed, glancing at his gilded watch every 5 seconds, as if impatience could force electricity back into existence. They exchanged wary smiles, minor introductions. Then with a sound like a hammer striking wet clay, the lights flashed, just for a heartbeat, then died again. Victor Orson collapsed to the floor, mouth slack. A blade protruded from his ribcage, spring-loaded handle locked open. No one heard it flick. No one confessed to moving an inch. Titan Tower's express elevator, stuck between the 14th and 13th floors, became both a crime scene and the only sanctuary the remaining passengers possessed. For the first minute, no one moved. Shock froze them, the unreal feeling that tragedy had misdialed its destination. Lights returned in brief tremors, subconscious warnings of the building's failing circuits, and every new strobe revealed Victor's body a few inches farther from where it had fallen, as though gravity wouldn't let the tableau settle. Detective Keller recovered first. Training clicked into place, his voice iron firm seized control. "Phone reception? Anyone?" Camille raised her smartphone, seeing only no service. Noah tried a hack, switching airplane mode on, then off. But the signalless screen mocked him with a low battery warning. Keller knelt by Victor, 2 fingers to the carotid. "Weak pulse," he muttered. "He's alive but bleeding fast." He paused, studying the mechanism jutting from the wound. Auto-retract spring knife. Fancy magician's prop, not a mugger's tool. Marisol slid next to him, ripping open her go-bag. Gloves snapped on, gauze pressed firm. She spoke to the rest without looking up. "Keep pressure. He might survive if we stop the bleeding." Camille's camera clicked instinctively, flash filling the car. Elliot flinched. "Is that really necessary?" he hissed. "It's evidence," she shot back, "and footage the world needs to see if we don't make it out." Noah's shaky laugh filled the cramped space. "We're in a steel coffin, and you're worried about your documentary?" Keller forced everyone's attention. "We may be here for hours. Whoever planted that knife," his eyes swept the group, "is here, too. We have 2 jobs. Save Orson, and make sure no one else ends up like him." "That assumes someone planted the knife," Elliot said, voice strained. "Could be suicide." "An upward stab angle isn't typical for self-inflicted," Marisol murmured, still applying pressure. "And he fell after the lights blinked. Someone got close." Thunder rolled outside. Not weather, but the distant boom of overloaded transformers failing across the grid. For the first time, the strangers sensed just how alone they were, suspended in mid-air, a secret no one beyond Titan Tower could possibly know. 3 hours crept by. Without cell towers or rescue, the group cycled between adrenaline spikes and lulls of oppressive quiet. In each lull, stories bled out, because terror abhors a vacuum. Camille confessed she'd been stalking Victor Orson's public appearances for weeks. Her next documentary, Kings of the Digital Wild, profiled venture capitalists who destroyed lives with algorithmic abandon. "Victor Orson is my villain," she admitted. "But I didn't stab him. I needed him alive and talkative." Elliot bristled at that. He too knew Victor, though he'd lied about it initially. "We were partners once," he said. "Co-founded Parseon Analytics out of a dorm room. He charmed investors. I built the tech. 3 years later, he forced me out with a hostile clause I was stupid enough to sign." His eyes glittered. "He got the billions. I got a severance and a gag order." Noah perked up. "Wait, Parseon Analytics?" His hoodie pocket produced a lanyard, a summer intern badge with the same logo. "Today was my last day. I emptied my desk, then HR whisked me out like I stole something." Elliot shut his briefcase with a metallic snap. "You did?" Noah colored. "Downloaded open source code I wrote on my own laptop. Company claimed it belongs to them, confiscated the device. I have proof they're stealing IP. It's in that briefcase." He pointed to Elliot's hand. Keller raised an eyebrow. "What's inside, Mr. Dane?" Elliot hesitated before unlocking. Inside lay not money or code, but a thick dossier. "Hard copies," he sighed. "Evidence of Parseon's fraudulent valuations. I was taking them to a reporter, Camille actually." He looked at her. "Didn't expect to meet you here." Marisol listened, eyes darting between pulses on Victor's neck and this labyrinth of motives. She volunteered nothing about herself, until Keller asked. "I'm a nurse," she said, "and I've treated 3 former Parseon employees in the ER over stress-induced psychosis. But here's my secret. Last month, Victor Orson's foundation pledged to buy out our hospital's debt. I stand to lose or keep my job depending on him." Detective Keller shifted. Everyone waited for his revelation. He cleared his throat. "NYPD Cybercrimes received a sealed warrant to arrest Orson tonight on insider trading charges. I was tailing him at a charity gala on 52. Blackout hit moments before I could move in." He paused. "In my coat pocket is the warrant. That makes me the only witness to his pending arrest. And you all, potential accomplices if you obstruct." A jolt shook the elevator. Cables groaned. Somewhere above, metal scraped metal, perhaps a rescue team testing lines, or just the old tower settling into emergency hydraulics. The car didn't budge. Victor stirred, eyes fluttering. Keller and Marisol steadied him. He tried to speak. Blood bubbled on his lips. Then, miraculously, he whispered, "I set the trap." No one understood. The generator hiccuped. Lights blasted to full brightness for 4 blazing seconds. When they dimmed again, Victor's knife was gone, removed from his chest. And Elliot Dane now slumped against the far wall, eyes blank, crimson leaking through his white dress shirt. Screams ricocheted. Marisol dashed to Elliot, but the wound pierced his heart. He was gone. On the floor lay the spring-loaded knife, stained twice over. Noah's voice cracked. "We're not alone. Someone's playing with us." Keller's fists clenched. "No. Victor admits he staged this. But who finished the act? Whoever retrieved the knife had to cross the car in plain sight." He stared at each face. "We stood inches apart. So how?" Camille replayed her camera's video, hands trembling. During the 4-second light surge, the lens captured chaos, blur, glare, and one frame showing Marisol leaning over Victor, while another figure's silhouette crossed behind Elliot. "Magnify," Keller ordered. She zoomed. The silhouette's outline, a baggy hoodie, was unmistakable. Noah's face drained. I didn't do anything. I'm not the killer." "Your pocket knife?" Keller asked. Noah pulled it free, closed, untainted. "I swear." Keller turned to Marisol. "You've been closest to Victor the entire time. Could you have slipped the blade out?" She looked affronted. "While holding gauze? If I'd removed the knife, he would have bled out instantly. That's basic triage." Camille bit her lip. "And me? Busy recording, but I didn't stab Elliot. The detective's head throbbed. Traditional interrogation demanded isolation. Impossible here. He tried logic. The killer needed motive to finish Elliot, not Victor, who wanted the partner dead. All eyes returned to Victor Orson, semi-conscious, whispering. Keller pressed him. Why target Elliot? Victor's words came thin as mist. He was my real problem. The board needed him silenced before the acquisition. Keller cursed. So you faked your death to lure him into confession? That's psychopathic. Victor coughed a wet laugh. Acquisition, valued at $8.2 billion. Couldn't let him leak. Noah's fists balled. You monster. Camille filmed everything, tears shining. The world will see this. From somewhere above, a muffled clang echoed. Rescuers attaching harnesses, or a failing counterweight? Time blurred. The temperature soared. Sweat dripped. Victor faded again, pulse thready. Keller made a decision. We need to separate the three still alive and mobile. Noah, Camille, Marisol, opposite corners. I'll stand center. Anyone moves without permission, I shoot. He revealed his concealed pistol. Noah swallowed. Friendly. Necessary, Keller said, until backup arrives. Except backup might never arrive. Outside, sirens wailed in distant streets, evidence of citywide crisis. Hours passed, throats parched, cell batteries died. At 1:15 a.m., the building groaned again, a mechanical sigh as emergency hydraulics engaged. The elevator jerked downward half a floor, stopping with a jolt that threw them off balance. The sudden shift ripped open a narrow maintenance hatch in the ceiling, dislodged by the motion. Fresh air drifted in, with it, renewed hope and danger. Keller's plan fractured instantly. Noah, desperate for oxygen, leapt onto the railing, reaching for the hatch. Keller shouted. Noah froze. The detective aimed, but Victor wheezed. Let him open it. Reality intruded. Staying meant dying of heat and fear. Ventilation might keep Victor alive long enough for rescue. Marisol helped Noah hoist the hatch fully. Cold night air cascaded down like mercy. Noah poked his head through, glimpsing moonlit service cables and a ladder bolted to the shaft wall. We could climb. Keller shook his head. Unsafe, the car might drop. Camille, camera still rolling, whispered. But we can't wait forever. Victor stirred, gripping Marisol's wrist. I have something for you. From inside his blazer, he produced a USB drive, slick with blood. Medical debt. Wiped clean. Hospital records. Ledger exposure. Give to press. She stared, conflicted. He coughed again. Take it. My apology. Before she could respond, the generator whirred. Lights surged. And Keller saw movement. A glint of metal near Noah's belt. The detective lunged, pinning Noah against the wall, yanking free the boy's pocket knife. You were armed. It's not the murder weapon, Noah yelled. It's mine. And folded. In the struggle, the knife flipped open. Keller stiffened. Reflexes born of 10 years on the force took over. A shot rang out. Echoes hammered the steel walls. Noah slumped, clutching his side. Not fatal, but bloody. Camille screamed. Marisol shoved Keller away, tending to Noah. You've lost your mind, she snapped at Keller. The detective stared at the smoking barrel, stunned by his own fear. Then, impossibly, the elevator began to move. Hydraulic backup engaged at last, lowering them inch by cautious inch toward the lobby. Camille's pulse pounded. She couldn't decide if salvation or further horror awaited. Her camera documented every tremor, lens fogging from humidity and tears. At the 12th floor, motion halted with a clang. The doors parted, only a foot, blocked by warped metal. Through the gap, an emergency lantern lit a deserted hallway. No rescuers in sight. Keller pried with brute strength. The gap widened. Marisol urged Noah toward freedom. He limped, pain glazing his eyes. Camille helped guide Victor, who could barely remain conscious. Just as they squeezed Victor's stretcher between the doors, a shadow loomed in the hall. A man in a maintenance jumpsuit, yellow hard hat, face obscured by dust mask. He carried wire cutters. EMS? Marisol called. The figure offered no reassurance. Instead, he clipped a cable snaking from a panel beside the elevator. Sparks flew, and the car plummeted 6 feet before emergency brakes slammed, jarring everyone. The doors slammed shut, sealing them in darkness again. A tinny laugh echoed from the corridor, then footsteps receded. "Who the hell was that?" Camille gasped. Keller's voice was flat. "Someone who doesn't want witnesses." Victor's breaths rattled. "Board, hired contractors." The detective processed rapidly. Parsion's leadership orchestrating a blackout, staging a double murder, sabotaging rescue. He counted 4 civilians and 1 cop versus billion-dollar ruthlessness. "New plan," he said. "We climb." By combined effort, they hoisted Noah first. Pain flared, but adrenaline prevailed. Camille followed, balancing camera in a sling. Marisol stayed with Victor while Keller climbed to secure the route above. The ladder ran 20 feet to a narrow maintenance platform between floors. There, Keller discovered a junction box freshly wired with explosives, enough to shear elevator cables if tampered with. A wireless trigger blinked, waiting. Camille filmed the discovery, her footage now proof of corporate homicide. "They wanted to drop the car," she whispered, "with all of us." Keller disabled the detonator, sweat pouring. Below, Marisol called up, "Victor crashing." Keller descended halfway, shouting instructions. "Camille, document everything. Noah, signal if anyone approaches topside." He turned to Victor. "Tell me the truth. Is your board behind this?" Victor's eyelids fluttered. "I am the board," he rasped, "but not unanimous." Elliot threatened to testify. They feared jail. "And the blackout?" "Diversion, insurance, and if I failed." The detective felt the grate of moral territory. Arrest the dying man or save him. Marisol screamed. Victor convulsed. Blood pooled anew, the wound reopening in the climb. He grabbed Keller's sleeve, voice sizzling with urgency. "Partner, wasn't target." "You were." Keller reeled. "Me? Why?" "Because only cop evidence." He lifted Marisol's gauze-soaked hand, the USB drive, shining like a cursed jewel. His last exhale sighed through grit teeth. Victor Orson died, not by knife, but by heart failing after too much blood. Drums of elevator cables vibrated overhead, someone descending via winch. The masked maintenance worker returned, now armed with a crowbar, silhouette framed by a flashlight's cone. Keller drew his pistol. "NYPD, drop it." The figure lunged. 2 shots cracked. Crowbar clanged, tumbling down the shaft. The man crumpled on the platform above, light rolling off, revealing his face. A security contractor known for off-the-books work with white-collar criminals. Sirens finally penetrated the tower. Through the maintenance hatch, red-blue strobe reflected down the shaft. Camille recorded as FDNY firefighters cut through the stuck elevator doors from the hallway. Fresh air, the legitimate kind, streamed in. Noah was lifted out on a backboard, Marisol guiding. Keller emerged last, gun lowered, handcuffs dangling unused. Outside Titan Tower, dawn ghosted the horizon. Backup generators thrummed to new life, streetlights flickered on. The blackout ended like a bad dream. 2 weeks later, in a midtown press conference packed wall to wall, Camille's son unveiled her documentary teaser. Echoes in the elevator. The night Titan Tower went dark. Raw footage projected on a 20-foot screen. Victor's confession, Elliot's final breaths, Keller's confrontation with the masked saboteur. The internet erupted within minutes. Parsion Analytics' stock plummeted 68%. Federal subpoenas reigned. The board's private chat logs decrypted from Victor's USB revealed plans for accounting fraud, market manipulation, and the attempted elimination of both whistleblowers and law enforcement. Arrests followed. Detective Keller, his suspension lifted after internal review, received a commendation for bravery and for restraint in the face of corporate warfare. He declined the ceremony, choosing instead to attend Noah Pennington's post-surgery physical therapy session. The young programmer, ribs bandaged, greeted him with a grin. They spoke of second chances and class action lawsuits. Marisol Jimenez returned to her ER, the hospital's debt forgiven under a charitable clause Victor had signed before the blackout. She carried the complicated knowledge that the man who tried to ruin lives also saved hers and many of her patients. Camille's documentary hit streaming platforms 6 months later, earning her a Peabody. In the final scene, she stands inside a refurbished Titan Tower elevator, mirrors replaced with unpolished steel, no place for distortions. She presses the lobby button. As the doors close, she looks into the camera. Sometimes the shortest distance between 2 points isn't a line, but a fall. And sometimes a fall can echo loud enough to topple the tallest towers. The screen cuts to black. Credits roll over the faint hum of elevator cables, an eternal reminder that in the tight spaces where lives intersect, a single flicker of darkness can illuminate every hidden truth.